Talking Dogs with Ian Grant, owner of Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. It's the show that delves into the training, socializing, behavior, nutrition, and wellness of your dog. And brought to you by Guy's Farm and Yard with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And again, thank you to Guy's Farm and Yard, who have been a consistent supporter of Talking Dogs since year number one, which was over 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So thanks to the folks at Guy's. This week, the topic is being away from your dogs is like starting over. Really? So how do you mean that? I mean, it's like the dog doesn't know you and you come back again, or?
Almost.
Really? Huh?
Well, so obviously that, I mentioned last week, and we've talked about my trips out to California, a number of times here in the last 8-10 months. And then recently I had a vacation. So one thing I've realized is that coming back, especially when you go away to a dog training workshop and you learn stuff, you're excited to get back and you want to, right?
Try it out.
Yeah, let's see how it works on my dogs, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because a lot of times, and over the years, I've talked to people and they're worried about, will their dogs feel abandonment when they go on vacation, and what should they do when they get back? And I always tell them, go right back into routine just to show the dog that you're right back into it. Nothing's changed. However, I also feel like this is a very opportune time to create new things and new behaviors or work on things that you want to work on, because you guys have had some time away from each other. I had some time away from my dogs, and for me, I really worked on my energy around my dogs in that morning walk. Like, we've taken way more morning walks lately than we ever have. And I think that it has really helped my relationship with the dogs, but also it creates a new vibe within the house too. So this gives you an opportunity to create a new routine if you want to. Even if you have to change things up completely, create something new that's going to be, for the betterment of everybody in the house involved. It's an ideal time because you can start fresh, and it's not like a Monday morning. Maybe we'll start Monday, or maybe we'll start Wednesday. No, start as soon as you get back from that vacation.
I wonder what dogs expect when they've been away from their owners for a while and the owners are back. What do they expect? Do they expect things to go back to normal, or do dogs have that long of a memory? I know you always say they only remember so far,
Yeah, and we've always said nobody's ever interviewed a dog, right? So
we've tried.
We have. Yeah, trust me, I've tried.
Not much response.
Yeah. Can you give me the Holy Grail, please?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think we can gauge it by what it's like when we get reunited with them. I've seen people get reunited with their dogs, and their dogs could care less that their owners are back in the picture. And then the flip side is their dogs can't even believe they're going to turn themselves inside out when they see their owners.
They get so excited that, boy, I haven't seen you in such a long time.
Yeah, and it's been 4 days. So I've seen my fair share of it. But to me, I look at this like, okay, you can walk back in from that vacation, but also if you want to instill something new in your dogs, that is the time to start. Okay. Right? As soon as you step foot back in that door from vacation, that's the time to start. If you want to work on that excitement, ignore your dogs completely. Just ignore them. Don't even. I know it's going to feel like it's hard, but the dogs are going to kind of be like, okay, well, this is different. That's what I want them to think. Something different is going on, which requires them to think and problem solve. And let's start to challenge our dogs a little bit and create the relationship that we want.
Now, because you've been separated for so long, it won't confuse the dog. They must kind of remember what the routine used to be, but it won't deviate too much if you try something new at this point.
No, in my experience, dogs don't question much at all. Unless it's a dog that is a very misbehaved, you have some serious problems and serious red flags going on, which is a relationship problem.
Right.
But then I look at it, even if I completely change the rules for everything for my dogs in the house, I still don't think that they would just be totally lost. You're just going to create rules and boundaries. I think it's the same if kids walked into a classroom and the teacher went, okay, so starting this week, this is what's going to happen and this is how we're going to do it. You can say it to kids. You can't really say it to dogs. So it has to be experienced over time and through, minutes, hours, days, and weeks.
So it's almost like getting a dog for the first time to an extent?
It could be, yeah. This is as close as we can get to starting over as day one, because we've been gone. So when you walk back into the house, it's like, okay, I get to start fresh. Let's do this now because there has been a gap. There's been a change in routine already. So now let's create a new one that really fits for everybody involved.
So is this what you did with your dogs when you just came back from Carolina?
Yeah, and I'm really working on myself with being much calmer than what I was before. Not that I was bouncing off the walls by any means, but
good time to refresh.
Yeah, and it's kind of my job to teach people how to be calm. So it's something that I have to do. And, we all have our issues that we have internally. And so this also working with your dogs is a reminder of like, okay, we got to let all that other stuff go and work with your dog now.
And how did they react to it? I mean, was this kind of the first time that you've been through this process?
So I've messed around a little bit with my previous trips to California, but this go around was different. As soon as I got back, I took my dogs for a bike ride the night that we got back. Like, let's go. I want to get some energy out. So it's been kind of fun.
Back with our question from the doggy bag in just a moment here on Talking Dogs.
Are you looking for a way to save money on dog training? Look no further. The Canine Cooperative is my exclusive community of dog owners that are learning about leash handling, body language, and the building blocks of dog psychology. Join today and use coupon code SAVE50 at checkout and get 50% off your first month. For less than $10, you can start training your dog today to get the results you've always wanted. This offer is only available for a limited time, so don't wait. Click on the SAVE50 link in the show notes to end the struggle of dealing with unwanted behaviors. Don't forget to tell your friends and family about this amazing deal. Thanks for listening and happy training.
Back with Talking Dogs with Ian Grant from Vermont Dog Boarding and Behavior, VFW Drive Hyde Park. Find out about his facility and programs by logging on to VermontDogBoardingAndBehavior.com. The question this morning, Ian, is what kinds of treats are best to use for training? So it really makes a difference which treats you use?
So the way I take this is not necessarily a brand, because I think it's whatever works for your dog is best, as long as there's not any very awful ingredients in there. I will tell you from my point of view, the most success I've had are treats that are not the dry and crunchy kind, but more of like the little chews that are very, very small.
Soft?
And soft, kind of the size of like, let's say a peanut, something like that. And the reason is because anytime you give a dog a dry milk bone, let's say for some reason, or something along those lines.
Something that's a little bit bigger too.
Yeah. Number one, you have to break it up, and then there's always crumbs. So when you give your dog a piece of this, they chew it, crumbs fall out, and then they go down to the floor to try to lick up the crumbs. Well, if you're trying to train your dog a command or trying to do something, and they're more, busier looking on the floor than they're paying attention to you,
the crumbs are a distraction.
That's a distraction.
Yeah.
So to me, the smaller the better. Even if it's Tic Tac size to them, at least it's something. I mean, I would take a Tic Tac size of hot dog over a large milk bone any day, because it's just going to work better in the long run.
So in other words, you just pop it in. Okay, you got your treat, and let's move on to the next whatever we're doing. Yeah,
there's nothing on the floor to clean up afterwards.
Yes, instead of going back, and can get my knife and fork, and get the napkins and get all this. And now, what were we doing again?
Here's your 4-course meal.
Yeah. So, but something smaller, simple is what you're saying.
Smaller is better with a little chewy, maybe a soft. I would go along that more than anything dry or crumbly. It's that's why I always keep them handy if I'm going to an in-home, because some of the stuff that people pull out is just it's too much, and
you can't like a meal.
You can't break it up small anyways, so it can be difficult.
Does it have to necessarily be their favorite?
I think it depends on what you're trying to train. If you're just trying to do something simple and it's not that big of a deal, you can just kind of do a run-of-the-mill treat. But if you are working around a major distraction, then you need something that they value quite
really
high.
Like, exactly.
Yes.
So, if you have a question for Ian, you can email him directly to info@VermontDogBoardingAndBehavior.com. Next week, how to let your dog out of the crate. And it's more than just opening the door and off they go.
Oh, is it ever? It really is. Just obviously going in is just as important as coming out and what it represents to the dog.
It's our crate training portion of our Talking Dogs program, at least a portion of it anyway.
Yep.
Next week, for Guys from a Yard with locations in Morrisville, Montpelier, Williston, and St. Albans. And for the trainer Ian Grant, I'm Roland DeJoy, and we are Talking Dogs.